You might think being born into one of the world's deadliest mafias like the Yakuza would give you a life of luxury, privilege, and power. But the shocking truth is that for Shoko Tendo, the reality was quite the opposite. She was the daughter of a high-ranking Yakuza capo, Hiroyasu Tendo, and she survived one of the most brutal traumas that any daughter should ever have to go through. Shoko still carries the physical and mental scars of her teenage life, years of physical and mental assaults and heartbreak, all the while her father not only allowed it to happen, but actually encouraged it. Her battle scars make her look like she was a war zone casualty, with broken bones and teeth, perforated eardrums, bald patches from hair pulling, and even hepatitis, likely from years of hanging on drugs as a coping mechanism. Even though plastic surgery has reconstructed her face and she underwent many operations, her health still remains fragile. In this video, we're going to take you on a stomach-churning roller coaster ride inside the life of the most dangerous Yakuza's daughter. From a young age, Shoko idolized her father, an Armani-clad Yakuza gangster, and was mesmerized by the romantic tales he told her of the Yakuza's code of honor. Even though the mob's seedy involvement in prostitution, drugs, real estate scams, and even murder was well known, Shoko defended their role in society. Despite the horrors she witnessed firsthand, she remained loyal to the Yakuza way of life, a decision that would shape her future in the most unimaginable ways. Speaking of which, Shoko's upbringing exposed her to a world that most ordinary Japanese people would never see. One particular incident from her childhood stands out vividly in her memory. A young gangster arrived at their doorstep trying to present his freshly cut-off little finger to her father as a traditional form of Yakuza ritual. Despite her mother's attempt to shield her eyes, she could still catch a glimpse of the blood dripping from the man's hand. Her father got so mad at him, saying he needed his finger for work, and so he violently struck him in the head with an object in the hallway. Talk about an angry boss. The world of the Yakuza has often been fantasized by many who view it from the outside of the deadly criminal organization. But the truth is that many Yakuza members and their infamous tattoos are being stigmatized in Japanese society as they tell any employer what your past life was involved in. In fact, many former Yakuza members face serious discrimination. After her father's Yakuza involvement came to light, she recalled her earliest memory of such discrimination. Shoko witnessed her father and uncle fight over the well after her grandmother passed, and she vividly remembers her uncle hurling the insult, "You Yakuza you're not getting a penny of the Tendo family's money." The neighbors gossiped, and Shoko was treated like an outcast throughout her school years, leaving a lasting mark on her early childhood. When her father was imprisoned, Shoko was kept away from him for many years. During her father's absence, Shoko's mother took charge of his gang and family businesses. Despite being loving and supportive, her mother was not aware of the extent of the bullying Shoko endured as a gangster's daughter. One experience in particular served as a sinister premonition of the violence that was to come. While in the company of another girl, a group of boys attempted to assault her. With the help of a friend, Shoko fought them off and managed to escape unharmed. The dangers associated with her family's Yakuza affiliation had already begun to take their toll on Shoko's life. Soon, however, she would discover the true horror of being a gangster's daughter. Before we get to the next part of the video, like and comment, and we will give a shout out to the best comment in our next video. So also subscribe so you don't miss it. Okay, let's continue. The relentless bullying and harassment that Shoko endured began to take a heavy toll on her life, and she turned to drugs as a means of coping. In the meantime, her father's debts kept mounting, and her life became a living nightmare. Shoko's father found the most unforgiving way to pay off his debts. He allowed those he owed money to violate his own daughter as payment. As a result, Shoko began a downward spiral into a world of heavy drug use, causing severe damage to her mental and physical health. Some of the men who supplied her with drugs also subjected her to violent beatings, leading to a life of constant abuse that persisted for several years. By the time she turned 20, she lived inside a criminal underbelly ruled by chinpira, young Yakuza punks, many of whom seemed to have beaten the daylights out of her. Every time I met a new man, I thought he would be different. she recalls. When they cried and said sorry, I forgave them. I never learned. But that all changed one night after enduring yet another beating and taking drugs in some shady, cheap motel. Shoko had an epiphany. She recalls, I kept thinking, I don't want to die in a place like this. She managed to drag herself home and knew it was time to turn her life around. However, even greater challenges were ahead as Shoko was about to face the loss of a parent for the first time. When her mother passed away, she was consumed by grief so much that she found herself unable to continue living. One night, in an attempt to take her own life, she swallowed handfuls of sleeping pills. Suffice to say, she survived. When her father passed away from stomach cancer several years later, Shoko saw this as a chance to turn her life around. But for real this time. Newly divorced, she returned to work in the red light district. Within a year, she'd opened a savings account and focused relentlessly on her job, working hard enough to save enough money to leave the life of a hostess forever. Her life had been a serious roller coaster, so she decided to reveal her story in a paper and wrote her biography, Yakuza Moon, Memoirs of a Gangster's Daughter, which has sold hundreds of thousands of copies. When asked about her Yakuza tattoos, she credits a life-changing decision to get a tattoo for giving her the mental strength to pull her out of disastrous relationships. No more wimpy attitude. She writes about her first visit to a tattoo shop. It was time to start over. Her body is now a rippling, inky canvas of dragons, flowers, phoenixes, and courtesans. She's never regretted her tattoos, despite having to keep them almost permanently covered up in a country where they still retain the dark association with the underworld. But she struggles to explain why they are so empowering, or why she would deepen her symbolic association with the Yakuza even as she cut her physical ties. It's difficult to put into words, she said. My father had a huge Buddha on his back, and many of the people who came to our house had tattoos. I knew that made them different to ordinary people, but also that the relationship between them was stronger than blood. I guess I felt that this was the world that I belonged to. I felt at home there. Today, she's a single mother of a young daughter. Her partner is a photographer and a far cry from the volatile men who almost ruined her life. He's almost comically different, very gentle and almost feminine. He freaks out when he sees my tattoos and tells me to cover them when we're out. When asked what she would do if her daughter came home with a gangster, she smiled and said, if he was a real traditional type with manners and honor, I'd be okay, but I'd draw the line at Chinpira. I'd have to protect her.